Someone is going to share the screen. Hare Krishna. So just reread this verse. The purport was pretty long. Yesterday, Mataji very nicely covered the first part of the purport, and we'll continue reading that. So verse Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, verse 6. Bhūya eva vivitsami bhagavan Ātma-māyā yathedam srajate vishvam durvibhavyam Adhikāra. Translation. I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead by his personal energies creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. So if you can scroll up a little bit, I just want to see the Sanskrit. So this verse, I'll just take word by word quickly. So Bhūya eva vivitsami. So Bhūya refers to, as Prabhupada is writing again. Eva is also vivitsami, means I want to know. So Mahārāja Parīkṣit is asking to Śukadeva Gosvāmī these questions. Now, just referring back a little bit on the second canto, just to set up a context, maybe you have done it in the past, but just for my purification. So Bhagavatam has 12 cantos, as we all know. Sridhar Swami says only from the third canto onwards, the 10 topics of Bhagavatam starts. And the first canto, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, deals with Adhikāra, qualification, as we have three main conversations in first canto. First conversation is between Sudha Goswami and Shaunak Rishi. Second conversation we find from Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, and third is between Parīkṣit and Śukadeva Gosvāmī. So Sridhar Goswami explains that the first canto prepares us to read the whole Bhagavatam, because unless we have Adhikāra, we can't read the Bhagavatam. So Adhikāra of the speaker as well as Adhikāra of the audience. So not everyone can speak Bhagavatam and not everyone can understand Bhagavatam. So we have speakers like Narad Muni, we have speakers like Śukadeva Gosvāmī, and we have speakers like Sudha Goswami, very, very qualified. And then we have this audience like Shaunak Rishi and 88,000 sages of Naimisharanya. And we also have audience like Vyasadeva, so very, very qualified. So unless we have Adhikāra for something, we can't enter into it. So the first canto deals with Adhikāra. The second canto deals with Sādhana. That's what Sridhar Maharaj says. So Sādhana refers to the way by which we attain the Sadhya. As we all know, Sadhya, at least from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam perspective, is Krishna. So what is the means to attain that Sadhya, Krishna? That's called Sadhana. So in Sadhana, Sridhar Goswami again have divided the second canto in three parts. He says the first two chapter deals with dhyana or absorption. Second two chapter deals with utsaha, enthusiasm. And the rest of the chapters, 6 chapters, deals with smriti. So it's dhyana, utsaha, and smriti. So dhyana, which refers to absorption, so when we are fully absorbed, then we can do our sadhana nicely. And in that absorption, we should have to have some utsaha. It says utsaha is like the fuel of the car. Without utsaha, you can't go from one place to another place. Utsaha nishadharya tat tat karma pravartanat. So utsaha is very much required. And then when we have our absorption and utsaha, then we can have the remembrance of the Lord, which is smriti. So for sadhana to be very, very powerful, we need 3 components of the sadhana. The first is absorption, utsaha, and remembrance of the Lord. So if you go back to the screen, Prabhuji, the 4th chapter comes under utsaha, enthusiasm. So in the 3rd chapter of 2nd canto, we have seen the change of the heart. The utsaha of Mahārāja Parīkṣit, he is asking so many questions. And the same questions, Sudha Goswami, Shaunak Rishi actually asking similar type of question, asking to Sudha Goswami. And Sudha Goswami is responding those questions back in the 4th chapter. And he is giving step by step. And he also tells, when Mahārāja Parīkṣit inquired from him, the first canto 19th chapter, that what is the duty of the human being, especially when he's about to leave the body. It says Śukadeva Gosvāmī was so enthusiastic, he all of a sudden started answering the question. He even forgot to do the Mangalacharan. So Mangalacharan actually comes in the 4th chapter of the 2nd chapter. From verse 12 onwards, we'll start the Mangalacharan. But before that, actually says he has already responded all the queries of Parīkṣit Maharaj. Now Parīkṣit from 3rd chapter is expanding his questions and want to know more about Krishna. And that's where this chapter 4 is coming. So a lot of utsaha is seen in the audience as well as in the speaker. So once you have utsaha, then you can have the remembrance of the Lord. So probably if you go back to the verse on the screen, I can't see the screen. So he's saying, Bhuya eva Gosvāmī. So again, eva Gosvāmī, I wish to know. What I wish to know, Bhagavan Ātma-māyā. So Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ātma-māyā. Now, Ātma-māyā word is very, very important. And if you see, Prabhupada writes Ātma-māyā, my personal energies of the Lord. So Lord has multiple energies, which we read today in the purport. And through those energies, what he's doing, Yatha idam srajate vishwam. So Yatha refers to as idam, this phenomenal word, srajate, srajan karna. So when we create Vishwam, this Vishwa, this universe, so how this Vishwa is srajate, is created. Now, while the creation process is going on, so the last line of this word, Durvibhavyam Adhikāra. So Durvibhavyam, if you read Prabhupada translation, says inconceivable. It is inconceivable by whose? Adhikāra. Adhikāra refers to the great demigods. Even great demigods cannot understand how Krishna does what he does. So probably if we scroll down in the purport section, and we'll just go where Mataji left yesterday. Yep, so you stop here. So yesterday Mataji picked up the first word, which is given in the purport of the inquiry. Very nicely Mataji presented who should inquire, who inquires, what happens when we inquire. Unless you are in mode of good, and Mataji said you cannot inquire. So you have to come on the platform of goodness, only then you start the real inquiry. Now the second part of the purport which Prabhupada is taking here, I'll just read the last line. And with such high brain power, even Brahmaji has described in his great Brahma Samhita as follows, as we all know this verse, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidanand Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because no one can excel him. He is a supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all the causes. So as we can see, Prabhupada never leaves any opportunity to establish Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Again and again you will see this theme in Bhagavatam and in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna will, Prabhupada, as soon as he gets an opportunity, he will put some references there and will say Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, because many times what happens, many Bhagavad Gita commentators, even Bhagavatam commentators, they do not establish Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. But as soon as opportunity comes, Bhagavan word came and Prabhupada is writing Ishvara Parama Krishna. So many other references in Bhagavad Gita also. We see 7.7 Matta Partaram Nanyat Kinchit Dhananjaya. So Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. There's no doubt about it. And unless we understand that concept of Bhagavan, as verse is saying, Bhagavan Ātma-māyā, we cannot understand Bhagavan's creation. So who is Bhagavan? As Bhagavatam describes, from whose lotus feet Gangaji appears. And that Gangaji, Brahmaji keeps in his kamandalu. And it says every day he sprinkles some drops of Gangaji water on his head. And Lord Shiva never leaves that water from his head. He keeps that water on his head. And he's always immersed in the thought of Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he's known as Gangadhar. So Supreme Personality of Godhead can create. And unless we know the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we cannot understand his creation. To go to the second paragraph here, Brahmaji admits Lord Krishna to be the supreme cause of all causes, but persons with tiny brains within this petty planet Earth think the Lord as one of them. Thus, when the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, he is all in all, the speculative philosophers and the mundane wranglers deride him. And the Lord regretfully says, Prabhupada is using the word regretfully, it's very important. He says, Avajananti ma mudha, manushim tanumashritam, param bhavam ajananto, mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature, my supreme dominion over all. Brahma and Shiva, what to speak of other demigods, are bhutas, are powerful created demigods who manage universal affairs, much like ministers appointed by a king. The ministers may be Ishvaras or controllers, but the Supreme Lord is Mahā-īśvara, or the creator of the controllers. Person with the poor fund of knowledge do not know this, and therefore they have the audacity to deride him, because he comes before us by his causeless mercy, occasionally as a human being. The Lord is not like a human being. He is Satchidanand Vigraha, or absolute personality of Godhead, and there is no difference between his body and soul. He is both power and the powerful. Just print the verse on my screen, actually, it's a little easier. Avjananti mam mudha manushim tanum ashram. So Prabhupada again has quoted this verse again and again, just to prove that only mudhas, person as we are seeing the purport, the tiny brain, cannot understand Lord. If you scroll up, Prabhuji, so there's a word used, avajananti ma mudha. Prabhupada keeps saying mudha word, fools and rascals. In this particular verse, you see avajananti. So it says, our Acharya has explained there are three types of words: jananti, ajananti, and avjananti. So jananti means to know. So if you know something properly, that's known as jananti. As Krishna says, Jan karma chame divyam evam yogveti tattva. So Krishna's janma and karma are divya, are transcendental. But one who knows that in truth, what is the reality, then he doesn't have to come back to this material world again. So Jananti of Krishna is very much needed. But some people know Krishna very well, that's very good. And some people ajananti, they do not know. It says when Prabhupada went to the West, no one knew the word Krishna, no one knew the word Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada is started from a very, very clean slate. But sometimes writing on the clean slate is better than writing on an already written slate. Because if you have to write something on which everything is already scribbled, very, very hard to explain something. But when the slate is clean, it's very easy to write. It says, although people in West did not know about Krishna, but when Prabhupada explained him, because they had faith in the words of Prabhupada, it was very easy for them to adopt Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if you look back in India, when Prabhupada is trying to preach before going to the West, Indians were struggling to get the teachings of Prabhupada because culturally they had connection with Krishna, but philosophically they had very little understanding of Krishna. Many of them were Mayavadis. Many of them thought Krishna is just a historical figure, very, very strong historical figure, but he's just one of them. So it says, Jananti is good, Ajananti is also sometimes better than Avjananti. So Avjananti refers to, you know exactly opposite than the reality. So many of them knew Krishna as Jyoti, or a very historical, great, strong figure. They both were in the categories of Avjananti. And if you are Avjananti, very, very hard for you to know. And Krishna is saying, if you are Avjananti, if you know exactly opposite than the reality, opposite the reality is Vikti Tattva, then actually you are a Mudha. And only Mudhas will consider Krishna Manushim Tanum Ashritam, that Krishna is just a Manushya. He has taken a shelter of Tanu, which is the body, Ashritam, Ashraya of a Manushim. He is just one of the Manushya. And if you consider Krishna as one of the Manushya, Bhagavad Gita is saying, I'm not saying you are a Mudha. So if you want to not be called as Mudha, you have to know Krishna in truth. And how do you know Krishna in truth? By Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Unless you take shelter of a proper Sadhu, a proper bona fide Shastra, and you have association of great Sadhus, you cannot understand Krishna properly. So you have to know Krishna properly. Unless you do that, param bhavam ajananto, you'll not know. So you see, the similar words are given in first line and the third line, avajananti and ajananti. So param bhavam, his great transcendental bhava, ajananto, they do not know. Mama bhuta maheshwara, what's the actual position of Krishna? Mama, me, Krishna, bhuta, all the bhutas, maheshwaram, I am the Mahā-īśvara. So as Prabhupada said, we're all Ishwaras, we're all controllers. But only Krishna is Mahā-īśvara. Many times we use this word for Lord Shiva, but here it's used for Krishna. He is Mahā-īśvara. He is not just Ishvara. Param Brahma Param Dham, Ishvaram Paramam Bhavan. Arjuna also says in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna, you are the Param Brahma. So we are Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi is true, but we are not Param Brahma. So Krishna is Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. He is a Mahā-īśvara. And unless we understand Krishna as he is, we'll always be bewildered in understanding why he is doing what he is doing. So just scroll down, Prabhuji. And also Prabhupada writes, Brahma and Shiva are also the Bhutas, or the powerful created demigods who manage universal affairs. So even they sometimes struggle to understand the position of Krishna. Brahma, as you know, in a Brahmā-vimohana Līlā, completely bewildered that he's Krishna. And persons with a poor fund of knowledge do not know this, and therefore they have the audacity to deride him, because he comes before us by his causeless mercy. Unless we understand Krishna as he is, it says, we cannot go forward in his understanding. Now, Prabhupada also gives the energies of Krishna. So as we know, he has three energies, internal energy. Now, this is our Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding. Krishna has multiple understandings. And Prabhupada writes there are the three main energies by which Krishna acts. So the first one is internal energy. If you read in Bhagavad Gita 4.6, Sambhavami Ātma-māyā, beginning of the verse is Ajopi san vyatma bhutanam ishvaravisam prakritam samadhisthaya sambhavami Ātma-māyā. There Prabhupada writes Ātma-māyā refers to Krishna's internal potency. When Krishna appears in this material world, he appears through his internal potency, but he runs the whole material world through his external potency. And in the external potency, what comes in? His marginal potency, which is the jivas. So external potency, we see jivas, marginal potency gets impregnated. And then when three potencies combine together, Krishna with his internal potency appears, the whole material world, the jagat, which is the external potency of Krishna, and then we have the jiva, which is marginal potency. When all three combines together, people get bewildered. People do not understand how this whole thing is happening. So we have to understand these things properly from a proper bona fide source, from the proper bona fide acharyas like Prabhupada. Then we can understand that Lord is not like a human being. He is Satchidananda Vigraha, or the absolute personality of Godhead, and there is no difference between his body and his soul. Now we'll go to the next paragraph here. Mahārāja Parīkṣit did not ask his spiritual master Śukadeva Gosvāmī to narrate Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. He wanted to hear first about the creation of the Lord. Śukadeva Gosvāmī did not say that the king should hear about direct transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The time was very short, and naturally Śukadeva Gosvāmī could have gone directly to the 10th canto to make a shortcut of the whole thing, as generally done by the professional reciters. But neither the king nor the great speaker of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam jumped up like the organizers of Bhagavatam. Both of them proceeded systematically so that both the future readers and hearers might take lessons from the examples of the procedure of reciting Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So this is very, very important message Prabhupada is giving. We should approach Śrīmad Bhāgavatam very, very systematically. We cannot just jump into 10th canto pastimes of Krishna. So unless we know the position of Krishna, we cannot understand why he is doing what he is doing. And to understand Krishna's position, Śukadeva Gosvāmī explains all the 9 cantos of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to Parīkṣit Maharaj so that we understand who is Krishna. Radha Maharaj gives a beautiful analogy of the position of the Lord. The Lord's position we can understand like an aeroplane's position. When we are going in a car or in a bus from one stop to another stop, we have red lights on the way. And these red lights, when they come, car has to stop. We cannot cross the red light. Okay, you can cross the red light, but then you get a pink slip, $500, double demerit points and all those things. But if an aeroplane comes while you're standing on the red light and he just passes through, you cannot say, how foolish is this pilot? He just crossed the red light. He should have stopped the red light. But aeroplane's position is very, very different. He should not stop. And if he stops, actually, we'll be in trouble. Will not be there if he stops on the red light. His position is different. His route is different. He has a different set of rules. We cannot impose car rules on the aeroplane rules. Aeroplanes has a different realm. So to understand Krishna, we have to understand this analogy very well. If an aeroplane, which is a mundane material thing, follows a different set of rules, then what to speak of Krishna? He is not bound to follow the set of rules which humans apply on each other. So to understand Krishna, it says Krishna doesn't have to come down, aeroplane doesn't have to come down. We have to rise up to the platform of Krishna and Bhagwan through the Shastra and try to understand his position as he is, not as we trying to understand. People have so many questions about Krishna, why he danced with so many gopis and all those things are typical standard questions which come up. And the answer to those questions is because his position is different. Because his position is different, even President of India, Prime Minister of India, their position is very, very different. He may be Indian, I may also be an Indian, but the common things of Indianship is one part, but within Indians, he is the Prime Minister of India. What things he can do, I cannot do. I cannot imitate him, but I can try to understand from his perspective why he is doing what he is doing. So when Krishna performs all these great transcendental pastimes, we cannot understand from our perspective, from a human perspective. We cannot impose our human society laws on Krishna. We have to rise up to understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then we can appreciate what he is doing, why he is doing. Okay, we'll continue the purport. Those who are under the control of external energy of the Lord, or in other words, those who are in the material world, must first of all know how the external energy of the Lord is working under the direction of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And afterwards, one may try to enter into the activities of his internal energy, which is the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So first 9 cantos, we have to take a good journey, good deep dive of understanding how Krishna manifests this material world, why he has manifested this material world, what jivas are doing this material universe, and then we can go to the pastimes of Krishna. The mundaners are mostly worshippers of Durgā Devī, the external energy of the Lord, but they do not know that Durgā Devī is but the shadow of the Lord. We read in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, in Brahma Samhita, explained by Chhayevihi Vivanani Vibhat Durgā. So Durgā Devī, which is in charge of this material energy, is saying is a shadow energy of the Lord. She acts as per the instruction of the Lord. Behind her astonishing display of the material working is the direction of the Lord, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Samhita, Durga Shakti is working by the direction of Govinda, and without his sanction, the powerful Durga Shakti cannot move even a blade of grass. As we know, Durga Devi is one of the names is Vaishnav Devi. So she is a Vaishnavi, she is the pure devotee of Lord. And because she is a pure devotee of Lord, Krishna has made her the in charge of this material creation, that you run this whole material universe and make sure any jiva who want to exit this material energy is completely pure. And Durga Devi is testing all of us very nicely with her Trishul or trident. She is giving us 3 types of taps. It says Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. And with 3 taps, she's constantly poking us and saying, get out, get out, get out. But we still don't realize. Therefore, the neophyte devotee, instead of jumping at once to the platform transcendental pastime presented by the internal energy of the Lord, may know how great the Supreme Lord is by inquiring about the process of his creative energy. As Mahārāja Parīkṣit is doing, as sages of Naimisharanya is doing, they're asking the authority, please tell me the process of creative energy. They're not saying, I have very less time, just tell me the pastimes of Ras Līlā. Prabhupada once went to one of the host house in India, somewhere in some city, and Prabhupada said, how can I serve you? What can I narrate to you guys? So they said, Swamiji, tell me the pastimes of Ras Līlā. So Prabhupada said, maybe we can take some other topic. They said, no, Swamiji, we want to hear about Ras Līlā. So they requested multiple times. Prabhupada very humbly denied that. And later on, Prabhupada said, you may be eligible to hear the pastimes of Ras Līlā, but I'm not eligible to speak about Ras Līlā. So Prabhupada, obviously, is fully eligible. But see the humility of Prabhupada. He's saying, I'm not eligible to explain the pastimes of Ras Līlā. And we sometimes very immaturely jump into those pastimes. We narrate them and we try to explain them. And what's our understanding? What's our qualification? And we end up becoming Sahajiyās. Sahajiyās are one who immaturely jump to the very transcendental pastimes of Krishna, and they mostly make mistakes in understanding Krishna and then presenting Krishna to the world. We should approach these pastimes very, very carefully. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, the descriptions of creative energy of the Lord's hand in it are explained, and the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita has warned the neophyte devotees to be seriously on guard against the pitfall of neglecting knowledge about Krishna in regard to how great he is. Because unless we know the greatness of the Lord, we cannot understand the activities of the Lord. Only when one knows Lord Krishna's greatness can one firmly put one's unflinching faith in him. Otherwise, like the common man, even the great leaders of men will mistake Lord Krishna for one of many demigods or a historical personality or a myth only. The transcendental pastimes of Lord in Vrindavan or even at Dwarka are relishable for persons who have already qualified themselves in advanced spiritual techniques, and common men may be able to attain such a plane by gradual process of service and inquiries. And as we shall see in the behavior of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. So he's not saying, I only have few days left, Maharaj, can you tell me this internal pastimes of Krishna? He's saying, no, although I have very little time, but I still want to approach Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, these narrations of the, the details, pastimes of Krishna in a very step-by-step manner. Otherwise, I will not be able to understand. So he's fully eligible. As we know, Mahārāja Parīkṣit is fully eligible. Krishna personally came to give darshan to Mahārāja Parīkṣit when he was in womb. But still, he's setting an example. As we say, Yadid Ashriti Shreshtas, Tat Tat Evetaro Janaha, Sayat Paraman Kurte, Lokas Tat Anivartate. Because all the great personalities, Mahajan, they set up the right example for common men to follow. So they themselves present them as a very, very conditioned soul, and they approach spirituality in a very processed way. I'll stop here. It's sharp 7:00. I was told to keep it short as 30 minutes. If there's any questions or comments, we'll take that. Or any corrections if someone wants to. Okay. Monam Sammati Lakshanam. Mon represents if you have understood everything or nothing. It was just a short attempt from my side.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Share some things with all of you. And thank you again for giving this opportunity. And if there's no more questions, Viraj Prabhu is here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Since it's public holiday,
Prabhuji.
Since it's public holiday, you can perhaps speak for another 15, 20 minutes or so.
Sorry, it's a bit hard to hear you, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu, can you say it again?
Oh, since it's public holiday, you can perhaps speak for another 20 minutes or so.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So let's go back to the verse. Prabhu, if I can see the screen again. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. I didn't know that today we can extend the class. So I'll go to the last few lines of Prabhupada purport. This is very, very nice. The transcendental pastimes, so I'll just stay there. The transcendental pastimes of Lord in Vrindavan or even at Dwarka are relishable for persons who have already qualified themselves in advanced spiritual techniques. So he is saying, unless you are qualified in the advanced spiritual techniques, you cannot understand the pastimes of Lord in Vrindavan. Now, if you take some of the pastimes of Lord in Vrindavan or in Dwarka, we will see who is able to understand. As we were discussing earlier about the Brahmā-vimohana Līlā, we did not go in detail. Now, Brahmā-vimohana Līlā, we all know. I'll just say it quickly, and then we can see what lessons we can take from there. So, Brahmā-vimohana Līlā, as we all know, Brahmaji, when after the Aghasur, he came to Vrindavan, and he saw this little boy Krishna, who is having his lunch with all this cowherd boys, all the gopsakhas, and Brahmaji explains he's eating from the left hand. So we are aspiring devotees, we are supposed to eat from right hand. Any pujas we perform, we are using the right hand preferably. But if you see in Krishna's pastime, especially this pastime with the gopsakhas, Krishna is eating with the left hand, and he has this achar. It says he has 3 to 5 different types of achar. He's holding the achar of mirchi and adrak and nibu in between his fingers, and every bite of every morsel of dahi bhat, which Mother Yashoda has packed for Krishna. He's taking one morsel of dahi bhat and he bites one of the achar. So every bite he's taking different achar. Madhumangal, he brought some chach and he drinks the chach. The chach is a bit old and his chach is not very sweet. It's not very fresh. So Madhumangal thinks, let me consume all the chach. I'll not give any chance to Krishna. He drinks all the chach himself. And when Krishna sees that chach, he said, Madhumangal, you're not giving me the chach. So Madhumangal, by that time, he's already drunk the chach. All the chach is in mouth. And his mouth is full of chach. And Krishna is so curious to drink that chach. He goes, he does like that, as we used to do when we were very young. And all the chach coming out of the mouth of Madhumangal, and Krishna directly consumes that chach. And he's not only accepting all these bhogas from different gopas, but he's also accepting this jutha directly coming to the mouth. And Brahmaji, when he sees this pastime, he's completely bewildered and he's like fully convinced inside that this cannot be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is being worshipped by Vedas, he's worshipped with so much cleanliness, and how he's behaving with all these gopsakas. He's saying, no, I cannot believe that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because he has some doubt in his mind, he says, let me test Krishna. And what he does, he takes all the cows and calves which were grazing just close by. He takes all the cows and calves away, and he thinks, if he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, let's see what he does. And as the gopsakas are enjoying the lunch, one of the gopsakas' attention goes to all the cows and calves, and he said, where are our cows and calves? I can't see them. And he says, Krishna, I'll go and search for cows and calves. And Krishna says, no, no, my dear friend, you sit. I'll go and search for cows and calves. And we can see here, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we all like to get served from others. When a service comes, we always think, Krishna, why you're giving that seva to me? Why don't you give this seva to someone else? But here, when the seva came, the sevak is saying, the servant is saying, I'll go and search for cows and calves. Krishna says, no, no, I'll go and search for it. You please continue taking lunch prasadam. We can see here, Lord does not like to take service, although we, servants of Lord, like to take the seva, but Lord does not like to take the seva. My Guru Maharaj, once he was telling me, everyone is serving me, but I hate taking the seva. He says, I like to go and do my things on my own. So here you can see Lord is exactly having the same mode. He likes to serve the devotees. And he says, my dear friends, you sit here, I'll go and search for it. Krishna goes looking for cows and calves. And then he could not find. He went inside the deep in the jungle. He could not find. He comes back. And what he sees, all the gopsakas are also stolen. Now we see Brahma is a jiva. He's very, very advanced jiva, obviously, but he's a jiva. How come he has power to steal the eternal associates of the Lord? So Acharya has explained, Brahma actually could not steal the cows and calves and the friends of Krishna. There were three sets of friends of Krishna, three sets of cows. So one set was the original set, which Krishna has actually already hidden under internal potency. Brahmaji, which he stole, he was another set which was a shadow of all the gopsakas, and one set which Krishna created afterwards, which was his own expansion. As we all know, Krishna, when he came to know, when he thought about it, who can he steal? He said, oh, my kid is stealing all the cows and calves and all my gopsakas friends. So he thought, he's trying to test me. Let me put him into the illusion. Let me put Lord Brahma into illusion. So he expanded himself into all the cows and the calves and all the gopsakas. And says all the gopsakas' bodily features, all the clothing they were wearing, all the jewelries they were wearing, their heights, their sound, everything was exactly same. And because everything was exactly same, when all of them went back to their home, all the mothers and fathers, all the gopas, they could not recognize that are they the real ones or they are the extension of Krishna. But one thing did change. Their love for their own children increased. It says all the gopsakas in Vrindavan, they loved Krishna more than their own children. Generally, what happens, parents may love their children, but generally, naturally speaking, parents love their own children the best. But when this time Krishna came in the form of their own children, They were loving their children more than their own children, and they were surprised. Cows which were having calves which were later, so cows which have multiple calves, the youngest calf is loved by the mother cow the most. Generally, that's what happens. But when these calves came back home, although the cows which had given birth to another cows which are younger to these older cows were having more love for these older cows because the older cows were Krishna. These children were no other than Krishna. And for one complete year, all this mother who had this maternal affection for Krishna um, were able to feed Krishna. It says when Mother Yashoda used to feed Krishna, other gopis will also have desire, which had motherly affection for Krishna, that I wish I could also feed Krishna. So because Krishna is the Paramatma sitting in the heart, he knows everything. And he wants to fulfill the desire of all the devotees. As Viraj Prabhu always said, whenever we have a desire, uh, be very, very careful because when you have a desire, Krishna will try to fulfill that desire. And we always explain this pastime of transcendental dryer. So he desired a dryer, and Krishna manifested the dryer. So Prabhu always explains we should be very careful in desiring what we desire. Kesha Maharaj gives this little joke. There was husband and wife who were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. They have been successfully wedded for 50 years. So it was their 50th wedding anniversary. So a genie came and genie said, ask anything, whatever you want. And wife said, I want a box of jewelry with some diamonds and rubies and pearls. And genie said, here we go. So here is your box of jewelry. Wife was very happy. Husband said, oh, this genie is real. And Ginny asked, so, dear husband, what do you like? And he said, I want a wife who's 30 years younger than me. So by this time, husband was around 72. Ginny said, here we go. And as soon as Ginny said, here we go, the husband was 102 years old. And the husband said, this is not what I asked. And he said, this is what exactly you asked. You asked a wife who's 30 years younger. So he thought my wife will become 42, but he didn't realize he may become 102. So many times we desire many things, but we don't understand what will be the consequences of those desires. So we should desire very, very carefully. You should always have spiritual desires because material desires will get fulfilled automatically. Based on our destiny, based on our karma, those desires will get fulfilled. If we deserve them, Krishna will fulfill. If we don't deserve, Krishna won't fulfill them. But if we have a special desire, Krishna will always test you. It says once in Dwarka, Krishna was giving a lot of charity. Everyone was coming and asking for charity. And whoever came for money, whoever came for a house, any other cows, Krishna immediately, yeah, take more. One Brahman came, very, very old Brahman. Krishna says, how can I serve you? What can I give you in charity? Krishna, then he said, Krishna, give me pure devotion. Krishna says, are you sure? He said, yes. Krishna, give me pure devotion service. Krishna said, okay, you come on the side. You just stay here and wait. So while this old Brahman was waiting, next person came and they were asking for charity. Krishna was giving 10 times more than they're asking. If they asked for 1,000 gold coins, Krishna was giving 10,000 gold coins. If they asked for one house, Krishna was giving 10 houses. And this old Brahman was watching. Krishna was also watching. And he was giving so much charity after this old Brahman asked for pure devotional service. So Balramji came and he said, this old Brahman has been waiting for so long, and you're not giving him anything. You're giving all this charity to these people, and this Brahman is still waiting. So Krishna says, he has asked for a very, very specific, unique thing. Because if I give that thing to him, I have to sell myself. It says in Gautam Tatri Upanishad, Vikranite Swa Atmanam Bhaktebhyo Bhaktavasalaha. Jalasya Chulkenva, Tulsi Dalmatrena, Jalasya Chulkenva, Vikranite Swapana, Bhaktebhyo Bhaktavasala. If anyone offers me with love a leaf of Tulsi and a chulu bhar Ganga Jal, very little water of Ganga Jal, Vikranite Swapana, I become sold to that person. So if you want to buy Krishna, that's the cost to buy Krishna. You have to just offer with love. Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Parekshati. If we offer love to Krishna, Krishna will be sold with that. So Balanji is asking Krishna, why are you not giving? He said, I can't give that. And why I'm giving this extra charity to these people? Krishna want to test you. You still want pure devotional service? Because if you want anything now, I am happy to give you 10 times more. So Krishna tests Durgā Devī tests you. So pure devotional service, who will ask for, Krishna will surely fulfill, but this desire will not be fulfilled on day one. Many times we start our devotional journey and we break down after 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years. Krishna, I've been chanting for so long. Krishna, I've been serving you for so long, but I'm not seeing the results. You will not see the results because our desires are not so pure. We still have a mixed desire, some material desires still hanging around. And when we have mixed material desires, Krishna will not fulfill our spiritual desires so easily because Krishna wants us to be purified fully. So when these mothers of Vrindavan, they had pure spiritual desires, Krishna fulfilled them. When Krishna fulfills from one Līlā, he fulfills so many different purposes. So Krishna fulfilled the desire of the gopis throughout this year, and many things happens in this year. And even Brahmaji came back to Vrindavan to check it out, and says only one moment of Brahmaloka had passed and 1 year in Earth planet has passed. He came back. Krishna is exactly playing same way. He's eating, he's giggling, he's laughing, and all the gopas are there, all the cows are there, everything is there. And Brahmaji is like, what's happening? So he went back to Brahmaloka to check. The boys he had stolen were exactly same. He came back to Prithviloka and he saw the boys Krishna is playing exactly same. He got completely bewildered. And then he realized, again by Krishna's energy, Krishna allowed him to realize that the person whom you're trying to test is your father. Pitahama Jagto Mata Dhata Pitama. So Brahmaji was thinking, I'm the Pita, but Krishna is the Pita of the Pita. He is the Pitamaha. So when Brahmaji is trying to test Krishna, Krishna cannot be bewildered, but rather Brahmaji got bewildered by this transcendental Līlā of Krishna. So we see even great devotees like Brahma, Ji get bewildered. So unless we approach Krishna with that mood of Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevya, when we have this mood of seva, submissive inquiry, if we have the mood of, I'm great. Once Chaitanya Prabhu was telling in a class, he was giving a series of classes, I think Mumbai, if I'm not wrong. And there was a series of classes going on every day. A very, very great speaker was giving the classes. And this one of the person in audience, he will ask the same question to every single speaker every single day. And once he asked this question to Chaitanya Prabhu, he explained, and Chaitanya Prabhu said, you already asked this question many, many times. Why are you asking it again? And this person said, I'm just testing how much knowledgeable they are. So if you want to test the knowledge of the speaker, you cannot understand Bhagavatam. You may know Bhagavatam, few verses. Intellectually, you can approach Bhagavatam, but devotionally, you cannot understand even one word of Bhagavatam. So we see through this purports of Bhagavatam, which we are reading right now, Krishna can only be understood, as Prabhupada said, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. Unless you have bhakti, you have desire to understand Krishna, to submit yourself to Krishna, to submit yourself to authority, you cannot understand Krishna. You cannot understand Krishna. Even Brahmaji, Shivji also, in Vanasur pastime, we see in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, sometimes gets bewildered to understand Krishna. Mohini Murti pastime, when Krishna displayed this form of Mohini Murti, Lord Shiva also got bewildered. Later on, he accepted that, oh, you're my master. If you bewilder me, there's nothing wrong with that. So Lord Shiva is extremely great. Lord Brahma is extremely great. But to understand Krishna, one qualification is needed, is bhakti. And unless you have the mood of Parīkṣit Mahārāja, when he's submissively asking the question, unless you have the patience to understand the transcendental activities of Krishna through a bona fide spiritual master, you will not be able to understand. Intellectually, you're able to give classes. Bhakti Vikas Maharaj was saying, if you give very nice classes, if you quote many, many shlokas, it does not mean you are advanced in bhakti. So advancement is bhakti is not based on how much you intellectually know. Advancement is bhakti is based on how much heart is being transformed internally. If your heart is transformed in a mood to serve Krishna, in a mood to serve our spiritual master, in a mood to surrender, we are ready to do anything whichever authority, spiritual master is asking us to do. We are not advanced. And unless we go through this journey of tapasya, Keshav Maharaj was saying in one of the classes, to train our mind, we need three things. One is the mantra, which we all chant many times mechanically, but we chant. So mantra we need. Then we need some vidya. Vidya means Shastra, so which you are reading. So we need to chant Maha Mantra, we need to understand Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And third thing Maharaj said, we need some tapa. So unless we do some tapa, we cannot understand. So tapa, we need Vidya and we need mantra. So if we have the combination of these three under the guidance of our senior devotees, we cannot understand Krishna. Our mind can never come under control. It will still remain like Chanchalam Himanakasha Paramati Balodhraham Tasyaham Nigraham Manne Vaya Revsudushkaram. We cannot control our mind. So to control our mind, as Krishna said, Abhyasa into Kante Vairagya and Chakrayate, that Abhyas is needed. That Abhyas is of three things. This is mantra, Vidya, and Tapa. So when you do Abhyas of these three things, then Vairagya will come. Then we can understand who is Krishna, who are we, and what's our relationship with Krishna, and how we can practice that relationship in our day-to-day life today. So we go back to the purport, Prabhu. I've lost that screen. Okay, so the again reading the same line, traditional pastimes of Lord in Vrindavan are relishable about persons who have already qualified themselves. So we cannot jump in those pastimes without any qualification, without maturing in our devotion life. Okay, I'll stop here. If there is any other points, if someone wants to add. Okay. So let's stop here. Again, thank you for your attention and giving extra time to me of 20 minutes to discuss some more points of this purport. So thank you very much again, and we'll see you all hopefully in tomorrow's Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupāda ki jai. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thanks so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.